What is going on, everyone? Tim from Tearfon Orbital. So today is going to be a fun video for me. I mean, they're all fun videos, but anyway, this one's going to be a little bit of a fun one because this hilt was made by a buddy of mine. This hilt was made by Jeremy over at Solo Sabers, and the customer commissioned Jeremy to make this hilt for him, and then in turn the hilt came to me for an install. The customer wanted a hybrid Tearfon chassis install on this hilt, so obviously I was happy to oblige. So I do want to talk, we'll come into Fusion and we'll talk about the crystal chamber. Relatively simple, not simple design, but it's just a premium. It's just a polished brass crystal chamber in an MJF nylon main chassis. That's really it. There's no brass greeblies. There's no brass battery or board cover on this one, but the crystal chamber is something that I'm really happy with because this one, I switched up my design aesthetic a little bit on this one, and there's a lot of detail in it, right? So I do want to come into Fusion and talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about the install, and then we'll come up top, talk about how to use the hilt, and then we will put a blade in it and be on our way, right? So with all of that out of the way, let's come into Fusion. Okay, so here it is. Short but sweet, right? So this particular speeder hilt, not that it had limited space in the grip. However, because I wanted to get a crystal reveal in this, the compromise that I had to make, obviously, was to step down the battery size. So this is an 18350 battery build, all right, with a full brass crystal chamber up top. So let's start at the bottom. Plenty of room in this particular build to get a fully enclosed 28mm speaker. This is a Darkside Elite speaker from Smuggler's Outpost. All right, here is where our Profi board will live. All right, so the Profi board does sit in this tray, and then it will pull forward and tuck up underneath these forks. So those forks just help it to stay secure. All right, I do have some rectangular red and blue LEDs serving as accents on this main chassis as well. And then, of course, our battery tray is here. All right. Making our way up. So here is the crystal chamber. I mean, I didn't switch up my design aesthetic too much. I did just switch up some things, right? But I am happy with the amount of detail that I was able to pack into this crystal chamber. This is a relatively short crystal chamber, right? So I was happy with the amount of detail that I was able to get in this. Okay, so we have a full quartz point in this crystal chamber. That is lit from below with one single neopixel. This is my battery. This is my wire channel, all right, that is kind of hidden behind this post here, and that comes all the way up, and this is where I bring my leads up for my switches, for my kill switch, and for my emitter. So one of the cool things about this hilt design is that Jeremy put a indentation or a cavity in the emitter section of this hilt for a kill switch. I believe the customer did specifically ask for a kill switch spot in this hilt. So that is why you do not see a kill switch in this chassis. And that is actually a good thing because there would have been no room for a kill switch down here anyway, right? But we do have an external kill switch in the emitter section of this hilt, right? So I had to bring a lot of leads up through this wire channel, and this was super tight. In hindsight, I probably should have stepped this up to like 4.5 millimeters. Typically for my wire passages in these chambers, I do like a 3mm tube rather. I should have stepped that up a little bit because it was pretty tight. And I don't like pulling wires past like a 45-degree angle like this all the time because there's a risk of nicking the insulation and all that. So it was tight. It was a super tight build, but I got everything up past that area and we were good to go, right? So this nipple is what I secure to the upper part of the chassis, or the upper part of the hilt rather, and there are plenty of M3 or M4 set screws that secure that chassis in place. And that is it. Really short but sweet chassis and build. I'm really happy with this one. All right, so let's come up top. Okay, so here it is. This is the Canon Y, or one iteration of the Canon Y speeder from Jeremy at Solo Sabers. So we have seen a couple of these come out of Jeremy's shop, and they are fantastic, right? I love the fact that each one of these is unique. I myself have one as well, right? But I really Love the short but sweet speeder grips, speeder hilts rather, that Jeremy is doing from Canon Y parts. This one is super unique, right? I don't know where these parts came from. This pommel, I mean, Jeremy might have machined all this stuff in-house. I know he's knurling now. I know he's threading stuff. So I'm not sure where this upper section or this lower section came from, but I do know, obviously, that this is a Canon Y flash gun tube or cell holder. And then, of course, we've got our quintessential Canon Y flash mount here, or switch box, which is great. I love these. Okay. And then, of course, you know, all of the regular Canon Y stuff is still on here, right? So I love that the red button is still here. This is not functional, but it's just decorative, which I love, right? Just a great, great looking hilt, okay? Here is that external kill switch. I did have to make a special custom holder for this. I like using these kills on external builds. I put these on the null revs. I just like the way they feel, okay? So I just made a simple holder at a PLA for that kill switch, and that is just E6000 into that cavity that was there made by Jeremy, okay? And then our switches are here, and that's it. Just a great, great looking hilt. All right. So let's talk about how to use this guy. To get at your chassis, you want to unthread your grip. Everything is modular, by the way. Pommel will unthread. Grip unthreads, obviously. And here is our chassis. Okay. Let me get my on camera here. So here's the chassis. Crystal chamber. Really happy with how this one came out. Hopefully that'll focus. A lot of nice detail on that MJF nylon. So let's hit this external kill switch here. Okay. Real quartz point in there. All right. So 18350 battery in here. That was a flat top 18350 battery. And obviously, once you get your battery in, you're ready to go. Okay. So I'm going to leave this grip off for now. So we come down to the bottom and get a better look at this. One of the other things I really appreciate about about this build, right, is Jeremy put plenty of M4, which I'm surprised. Jeremy's an imperial measurement guy. I give him shit for it all the time. But these are M4 set screws. I was shocked because he doesn't usually use that size. These are M4 set screws. There are 3 of them around the circumference of this neck here, and that is what is holding that chassis in place. I also put a very, very small bead of E6000 in here just to help it to stay secure. But yeah, that's it. That's how the chassis is affixed to the upper body of the hilt. Okay, so let's come down to the bottom. All right, so there's that crystal chamber. Let's get a better look at that. Hopefully the camera will, there we go. That red button will serve as your main. Green is your aux. Okay. All right, I'm gonna put the grip on here. Great feeling hilt too, very, very hefty hilt. I'm not sure what these black parts are, if this is aluminum or if this is iron. It's very interesting looking part. It's like pitted, so it looks weathered here and in the pommel. So I'm not quite sure where those came from. Okay. So let's put a blade in it. Okay. Beautiful 7/8 inch blade holder in this hilt, right? So there is a steel knurled thumb screw up top here that will serve as your blade retention. So rest your blade on those PCB pins and then tighten that knurled thumb screw and you are ready to go. Okay. What else we put on here?
Young Ray.
One more. Great feeling hilt. One more. I want to do one more on here. Let's see what else we put on here.
That lightsaber was Luke's.
Oops. All right. So that is it. That is the custom Canon Y Speeder from Mr. Jeremy over at Solo Sabers. Great hilt. I love these little hilts. It's a good size. It's an average size. They're great looking hilts. Really, really love these. So anyhow, to the customer, thank you for trusting me with your install and your design. I'm really loving, I don't know what it is lately. I feel like I've been getting a little bit more requests for the hybrid chassis, which I love. I love doing this kind of stuff. I'm trying to move more into that direction. I mean, I'm still doing regular installs and I'm happy doing those as well, but I really love spreading my wings and getting unique, premium, different looking chassis for hilts, right? So anyhow, thank you again to the customer. Thank you for your patience as well. If anyone has any questions about this build or this particular hilt, please do not be a stranger. And with that being said, may the force be with you always. Have a good one, everybody.